Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Woody Allen retrospective right here on planettyro.com. I'm your host, Donald Wanda, as always, and I'm joined by my very lovely guest. I'm glad is here with me, Simon Rad.
Well, finally, you learned to show some respect.
Yeah, man. Fuck you.
Fuck you. About them time, yeah.
Fuck you with the force of 1,000 suns.
I like these new intros much better, yeah.
Yeah, making me do that shit twice. Guys, welcome back. If you've been following us on the podcast, you know we do this as a retrospective. If you're watching on YouTube, I'll put a link to our last discussion. Last time, we actually spoke about Vicky Cristina Barcelona. Maybe you should have called it Vicky and Cristina in Barcelona. I don't know. But the link is in the top right corner of the YouTube card. Go back to listen to that discussion. Don't forget, guys, these recordings are part of a Woody Allen retrospective. We've got the website, WoodyAllenRetro.com, where you can find all our previous discussions. We're actually coming up to the 50 episode mark on this retrospective. God damn it. And actually, we're actually at the 1 year mark when we made this bloody podcast retrospective for Woody Allen because...
Already?
Yep. As Simon likes to remind me, of all the people that love and adore Woody Allen, how come we're the only audio retrospective I can find online? What the fuck is that about?
It's about hate and about the fact that people are fucking morons.
You know, it's funny you got that attitude because I think on the discussion we're about to get to, Simon's got a similar train of thought. But before we do, guys, always have to remind you that we get into spoiler discussions. A lot of you guys know what the deal is with these Woody Allen talks we have. We're just casuals. We don't work for Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb. We're not even newspaper critics or web critics or whatever. You can tell by my mumbling. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about half the time, as you guys like to remind me. So you guys know what you're in for. So Simon, why don't you tell us what marvelous movie we're going to talk about from Woody Allen this time?
Yeah, boy, you don't have the credentials. You just got the hate. Oh, you have.
Maybe I'm not alone on that, but we'll see.
I thrive on it. Anyway, this time we have a return to the comedic roots with Woody.
That everybody loves, yeah.
Of course, up until they don't. They just pick and choose when. So after Woody being harassed for like 10 years to make good old school comedies again, he doesn't. And now we skip ahead to the year 2009, where he revisits an old script he wrote back in the 70s that was shelved, and he decided to adapt it again, set in New York, called Whatever Works. And guess what? Whatever Works didn't work for anybody, because everybody fucking hated it. That's the short version of this movie. To be specific, it was a match made in heaven between Woody Allen and Larry David. You know, from Curb Enthusiasm, the guy who wrote your show.
Seinfeld, yeah, he's big-handed Seinfeld, a massive force in Hollywood, man. And, you know, speaking of which, at the time of this recording, Curb Your Enthusiasm is back for, I believe, is it 9th or 10th season? I don't know. But,
it's back on HBO after a long break.
Yeah, people have been dying for it. So, but at the time this was shot, by the way, he was in the middle of a season. I think he took a break, so people were so excited, like you just said, Woody Allen and Larry David. So, Simon, what did they come up with for this movie? What did they come up with?
Well, apparently they came up with the truth, and people can't handle the truth. So, Larry David plays Boris Yelnikov, whose catchphrase is "Whatever works." Has the title of the movie, and the movie opens up with him appropriately.
Are you sure it's whatever works and you're not an idiot or an insect or an insignificant piece of shit?
Yo, that's all true. It depends on who's saying it. So if I'm saying it to other people, you could make that basically the book of life. But let Larry tell you what the movie's all about. Because in the opening scene, he gets up, turns to the camera, and starts narrating to the audience his thoughts, communicating his deep feelings.
Narrating? Some people would call it a lecture or a berating the audience on how stupid and pointless life is.
Yo, you know what I call it? I call it the fountain of truth. Because that guy's woke. He basically explains things the way they are. That people are too freaking dumb. And that's the moral of his whole vision. And I don't understand why. Because, sorry people, but this movie's hated. Like, it is hated. Big capital H and big capital A-ed. Absolutely despised. And I don't know why, because the movie's freaking hilarious. Basically, Larry David is a genius physicist who is at a bit of lonely phase in his life because a lot of people can't stand him because he speaks the truth about life and Republicans, mostly Republicans and Southerners and religious people.
I mean, the movie starts with him telling his wife that she's an idiot as well, by the way. So
That they're not compatible. There's a big difference.
sure.
And the people in the South who believe in Jesus are imbeciles, which, again, very close to home and very close to the truth. But his somewhat monotone, some might call pessimistic, I call realistic view of life gets upset when the lovely and charming Ava Rachel Wood enters the movie as called Melody. Her character is called Melody. And from the naivete in her name, you can tell that this character represents innocence. Basically, she's a Southerner who escaped from home because her mom was so overbearing, and she made it to the big city, but she's down on her luck. She's never been to New York. She's very naive, kind of stupid. Okay, she's fucking dumb. But, you know, she was raised in an old Christian community down south, so she got out all right, considering her odds. And Larry David kind of takes her in. And at this point, we were watching this movie together and we were laughing. This is like Woody and Sun-Yi. Not the exact same scenario, but the way they get on where he's the older guy and she's the younger girl. And as Woody likes calling it, they establish a very paternal relationship where he's kind of mentoring her and teaching her about, you know, atheism and string theory.
You see, that's the first thing about the film. I don't know if he's mentoring her as much as he's berating her constantly. With
that's the same. Well, it's called tough love. See, this is the problem.
Take out the love of that tough as well. It's called tough companionship or tough. Maybe it's just called torture. Maybe that's the right word. Torture.
See, this is the problem, man. Like, because Larry David, his character is in a phase where he's not teaching physics anymore. He's just teaching chess to kids, right? Something simple.
That's not the words he used, but he didn't say chess to kids. He's chess to imbeciles.
Yeah, because there are imbeciles, and that's one of my favorite scenes when the kid's mom comes in and starts complaining like, you threw chess figures at my son. He's a very bright kid, and he's like, no, your son's an idiot. And I'm like, thank you, because most people don't realize their kids are morons and they're just gonna grow up to be even dumber idiots. They're not special. Everybody thinks their kid's special, but let me tell you, your kid ain't fucking special.
You really sound like Maddox right now, but keep going.
Your kid's not special. Your kid's just, you know what your kid is? Your kid is a ticking time clock to be an asshole. That's it. Soon they're gonna grow up and they're gonna vote for Trump Jr. or fucking, the fucking next generation of Trumps, and there's gonna be just the same kind of asshole as their fucking father is this year. The same fucking shit. Just like his granddad was when he voted for Reagan, and just like when his granddad was when he voted for Nixon.
Hey guys, you see, you listen to the podcast right now, hearing Simon. What Simon's doing now is a better description of this movie than him actually talk, because this is exactly what the movie. You see what Simon's doing right now? He's berating, going off in his own opinion. That's what this movie is, basically, in a nutshell.
I was hoping you caught on to that and why this movie's awesome, because that's basically it. Larry David speaking the truth. The rest of the story, basically, the relationship develops from she's annoying, I don't like her, to wow, what are the odds?
Some girl he just found on the street.
Yeah. To what are the odds? I kind of like this girl. Let's get married. To enter the parents. And what do you know? They're two small town hicks, country ass idiots. What a shock. But then they come to the big city, and this is where I think the movie's more clever than the usual satire. Because what happens is when Melody's mom, played by the lovely Patricia Clarkson, enters the picture, she's just the stereotype you would expect. She's very conservative, has tunnel vision, basically a dumbass. But in the big city, she discovers all these new qualities to her. She starts seeing other men. She goes on dates. She gets dedicated to her photography because she finds a guy who actually supports her and says, hey, you have a really good eye. These are some really good photos. You should try maybe pursuing this. And she transforms herself. She abandons her old beliefs, puts on fresh set of clothes, changes her style, starts living with two guys at the same time. I mean, you want to call Vicky Cristina Barcelona a threesome movie. This is a threesome movie. They go straight to that three-way relationship, like within 10 minutes. They didn't take a whole damn movie to reach that point. And also, we got a nice surprise here from your man. The only person on the planet who supports this guy as Superman, Henry Cavill.
Yeah, that was a damn big shop. I completely forgot he had anything to do with this movie.
Yeah.
And once again, we always praise Woody and his casting director for their foresight in hiring these actors. I mean, the main lady you just mentioned, she's the main girl, Dolores from Westworld. You got Superman up in here. And even the girl's mum, I know she's a big actress as well. So again, wow, man, really, really good casting. And Larry David, of course, very good casting.
Yeah, and even Melody's dad, played by Ed Begley Jr., I believe. He's a well-known actor.
You've seen him around so many bloody times.
Oh yeah, he always plays the dad.
Always plays the dad.
But this time, they actually, Woody doesn't give a fuck with this movie, and that's why I like it. It reminded me of some of his 90s work, even though this was written in the 70s, because his dad comes in full-on, NRA, Southern Pride, all the bullshit. Comes in like, where my shotgun?
Let me jump in now and just say this. Look, man, you've already described the description of the movie. Let me address some of the things, because I don't want to just,
Oh, here you come. You're gonna rain on my parade, right?
I was just about to say I'm gonna play both sides, because I don't think this movie is as horrible as everyone makes it out to be. And there's a couple things that I think burn people the wrong way about the movie. And to be honest with you, I don't know if they're just inconsequential people. Just that, first of all, every time I jumped on Rotten Tomatoes to see if I can actually decipher some, constructive criticism on the movie. First of all, people are pissed off that it came after Vicky Cristina Barcelona, a very good movie, just like when Scoop came after Match Point. So they don't like that. I'm like, okay, whatever. That's fair. Bad place and whatever. Secondly, Woody's return to Manhattan for the first time in, 4 or 5 years.
Since 2004.
Yeah, so we're like, oh my God, what's he going to do? Is he more inspired after he's doing all these interesting...
He's doing an old script, just like you asked him.
Yeah, so, and people were like, what? You come back to New York just for this? And again, I'm just like... does that really matter? But whatever. Another thing I keep hearing is Larry David being hired didn't really work out for him. Now, let me say this, because this is where I kind of agree and disagree. Now, Larry David playing this role is not far removed from the character he plays in Curb Your Enthusiasm, which again is meant to be a more exaggerated part for himself.
You mean the prophet of truth?
An exaggerated clown who's looking down on people, and we enjoy that. So he was he typecast for the movie? Not really. I think he was perfectly picked for the movie. But I think the main problem with the movie is, I'm going to go back to another movie that me and Sam...
People are morons.
Well, I'm going to bring up another movie that me and you like a lot, that people hate a lot. And this is what happens when you strip down a good movie and bring it down to one element. One movie me and Simon like a lot is A Curse of the Jade Scorpion. Yeah. And there you've got two very strong characters, very opinionated characters going back and forth with absolutely great dialogue. Now, this movie, you've only got one character, a very obnoxious character, a very slight-minded character on his perception on life, and he's got no one to play off. The other characters in this movie are dumb as fuck. It's not even funny, especially the main lead girl.
But see,
I know it's played for comedy, Sam. I know she's meant to be dumb.
I'm saying that's how people are in real life. They're slow.
Right, so she's played dumb to such an effect where it's funny.
It's funny,
but it's like, it can't just be her. And her family members, they're not as dumb as her, but they're equally out of touch. And I know what Woody Allen's doing, because if you look at the subtext, and actually it's not really subtext, it's pretty clear what he's doing. Everyone that is coming from the South is a fucking idiot, and they find their true selves when they come into the city and they get a taste of life. And obviously, again, you could find it a social critique or a touch on religion or what have you. And I'm like, I agree. Sometimes you need to explore the world to find out who you are. But handling it in this very brash comedy where Larry David's character is just berating them. He's funny. Let me just say for the record, I think Larry David's fine in the role. He's such a strong character. He needed someone to play off stronger. And the thing with The Curse of Jade Scorpion is it has a really good setup. Everything around the movie is interesting with the magic and the mystery. Again, this movie has one good element and everything else around it is pretty weak. And it's not memorable. And that's a shame, because he is great, but Larry David can't hold up this movie. And he's just too strong, and he's too right wing for this whole plot.
You mean he's closer to the left, though?
Well, whatever side you want. I know what you mean in terms of what his thought process and all that. But I'm just saying that he's too on one side, where these guys aren't even on the other side. They're just on another planet. So
yeah, it's called Republicanville.
And for the comedy, it's very, very. It's not even juvenile. It's just low hanging fruit. These guys are absolute idiots. They're out of their zone. They come to the city and they all change. And Larry David is right. And that's it. And it's just like, it's humorous, and the dialogue is good and really funny, but it doesn't hold the movie. And if you're not watching Larry David, which you are for 90% of the movie anyway, everyone else is inconsequential. You could have taken away everyone else out of the movie. It could have been just him fucking just walking on the street being an arsehole. The movie would have been just as good. All the other characters don't make the movie any better. So it's a waste. All the other characters didn't do anything for the movie for me. I was just like, Larry David's funny, but everyone is playing off as a fucking idiot. They're out of touch. And, the joke is, after the first half an hour, this whole, everyone's a fucking arsehole idiot, and it's just not really interesting. Even Henry Cavill, he's just playing a fucking nice guy. That's it.
It's funny to see him be so British. Like, he has an original speaking accent, obviously. So he doesn't have an accent in this movie.
Idris Elba, after he played The Wire, it was like, what the fuck? He's British?
Yeah, exactly. He speaks normal the way he would usually, and he acts very natural. So he's kind of dorky. He's like a UK guy. Like, we see these guys hang out outside of pubs. So it's like, that's Superman? That's like the goofball dork who got pissed the other day. So it's kind of interesting to see him like that. I guess you can add that to the movie, but you're right about the fact that it would have benefited from a stronger supporting onslaught of characters, I think, to really, I guess, capture the spirit of the city or the community or whatever, the environment of Larry David's characters.
Or it could have just been him alone in the movie, that Curb Your Enthusiasm, where he's the focal character and he's meeting all these inconsequential people, and you just focus on him, because he could have carried the movie, if you ask me. Everyone else is filler, especially the main girl. She's not endearing. You don't give a fuck about her.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, you would have really needed Diane Keaton. I think if this was done by Woody and Diane Keaton 20 years before, heck, 20 years before, this would have been 89, 30 years before. That just tells you how long Woody Allen has been in the game. But
I'm glad you brought it up, because I thought about that, because actually, I'm going to defend Woody on this point. Everyone's shitting on Woody for bringing out a movie. He's done that 4 or 5 fucking times. He's fucking, one of the movies we just spoke about recently was a script that even Match Point, basically that was part of a script that he was going to do for Annie Hall, right? Was it Match Point, or was it one of the other ones?
No. Man and Murder Mystery was part of Annie Hall.
Whatever. Anyway,
but Match Point was basically revisiting Crimes and Misdemeanors. Yeah,
so everyone jumping on that. Oh, he parked this show, but he brought back. It doesn't matter. He always reworks his themes. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, and here's my main kind of takeaway from that, or point I would like to emphasize, that if this would have come out, this feels like something out of the Annie Hall era.
Yeah.
Because he talks to the camera.
Yeah.
It's very much centered in New York. If this would have been the follow-up to Annie Hall instead of Interiors, people would have loved this. People would have had a meltdown. How this is the movie of the summer.
Yeah.
It is a masterpiece. The brutal honesty of Woody Allen's writing strikes a chord in the intelligent heart.
They would have done it in that same voice.
The same voice. Comedy meets genius. Woody Allen returns with a pivotal masterpiece in filmmaking, bridging the gap between science, love, philosophy, and filmmaking.
100%. No doubt.
People would have had a meltdown. So it's all about context. And again, I think the honesty of the movie that, when Melody's dad comes in, and of course, her being married to an older guy and his ex-wife, or they're not divorced, but the wife he left, living with 2 men and all this craziness just shocks him to the core. So he gets on his knees and starts praying. And everybody's just like, what are you doing? There's nobody up there. And even Melody's like, Daddy, just stop being an idiot. You're wasting your breath. The movie's very blasé about it. And, here we are nearly 10 years later after this movie. And this is still a controversial subject. We still can't say Happy Holidays without somebody grabbing a shotgun and shooting up a mall for the sake of Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, people are fucking imbeciles. Sound familiar?
Look, man, his character was fine. He was the Grinch on steroids, which is fine, good part.
He's the Grinch of life. I like that metaphor.
Definitely more of Curb Your Enthusiasm, but again, he carries that movie, he carries that series on his own with a good supporting cast. Here, there needed to be more balance here. And apart from that, I mean, there's nothing else I could really got to say about the movie. The cinematography, I thought, was forgettable. It looked nice at points, but I don't know. It didn't stand out to me per se. The soundtrack was standard Woody Allen fare. And, I don't think the movie deserves this hate. Like me and you were talking about where it places in like A, B, C grade. I think this is another, like you said, the C grade movie. Maybe somewhat forgettable, except for Larry David as an actor playing the role is very, very good, very memorable. But unfortunately, when I was watching the movie, I actually thought this was just another longer episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm, because I think Larry David does incorporate the Woody Allen persona in a very good way. He's actually suited to it more than many other people, like Kenneth Branagh, for example.
He's still hitting on the guy. This movie's 11 years after Celebrity, and you still like, nah.
Yeah, but there's some people that just do it well, and I think he does it really, really well. But ultimately, he didn't have the supporting cast. There was no fucking plot. All this plot was he's a curmudgeon. These guys are assholes. Let's watch them for an hour and a half. That's it. There's no surrounding plot around it. Nothing extra going on. Maybe if there was something else going on, like a heist or something like, what's that heist movie I didn't even like he did? I don't know. Something like that.
Oh, what, Small Time Crooks?
Exactly. I think that could have helped the movie. But there's really no outside plot. It all banks on him being an asshole.
The romantic parts are missing. I mean, again, if this was Woody and Diane Keaton, you would have had a lot of nice scenes with nice music of them going to different places in New York, and Woody kind of showing the out of town girl, the different museums and art, and you would have the classic Woody Allen soundtrack in the background and Diane Keaton's charm. So the movie definitely needed that. I guess putting in the age angle helped give the film more of an identity, but at the same time, it took a lot out of that classic charm away that probably at the time when this script was written, that would have been a no-brainer because it was just part of Woody's filmmaking. It was in Sleeper. It was in...
And by now, it's one of his old, played-out cliche ideas. The young girl and him,
Yeah. So I guess him putting some stuff in where we both looked at each other like, that's clearly... Like, that documentary, Old Man's Blues, whatever, Old Jews Blues, I don't know. I don't even know what it was called.
I can forgive you for saying that because at the end his mum is a real hard ass. Woody Allen's mum made some funny comments in that movie.
But the way they behave, there's a couple of scenes here where Larry David and this young girl Melody are exactly like that.
Woody and Swingin, 100%.
Yeah, it's exactly the same way where this guy is just wandering around aimlessly, and the girl has to be like, "No, sit down." It's like you should sit down. You should pick up the phone. You should put your pants on, and you should eat breakfast.
Again, you ask Woody Allen, this has nothing to do with my
Woody's
life.
No, I don't base characters on myself. I mean, this whole concept of big age difference is actually something I was just reading up on it. Maybe I don't remember.
It just came to me.
Perhaps a friend of mine recommended it to me. I'm not sure. It's so distant.
So maybe he sat on the script because he wanted to act out in real life in the 80s. And now it's time enough he can make it to a movie.
yeah, maybe it got canceled in the 90s where he was like, "Oh, I got a great script.
I got a course correct. I can't release this in the 90s.
Yeah,
I'll wait 20 years.
But I see, like, if you don't get a kick, like as much as I did, of Larry David just roasting people,
you enjoyed those lines so much.
I laughed so hard.
Yeah.
But that's the only thing the movie is going for it. Like, Henry Cavill, if you're like a fan nowadays for being in the worst superhero franchise ever, which is not his fault, if this is like a treat for you, or like, oh, I didn't know he did this movie, you're not going to get much out of his character. He's not in the movie much. Everybody else, like you say, they're punchlines. They're there to be caricatures to make fun of, even though, ironically, their caricatures are becoming more and more reality. But
I mean, that's fine. I don't mind. Those characters are there.
But I understand that the movie needed something else.
Yeah.
It's not, it can't be just the first scene where Larry David just says, "You know what I like about life? Nothing." It can't just be that line of dialogue in 2 hours. Just that on repeat. You have to have different dimensions. And even though Melody's character has grown and she becomes a different person and her mom becomes a different person, her dad discovers a whole new side of him, which explains the gun fetish. Which I always said that men who love fucking pistols have a dick fetish. What a shock. But they go through all these transformations, and that's fine. And he even does the ensemble finishing scene where everybody's in one room and they all went through their life journeys.
That really lost me. That was the whole... Look, this character...
It was too much of a feel-good, happy ending for you?
It just felt like this guy is going to settle with anyone. And even if he does, it's not going to last. And I just thought I would have preferred the real ending where, you know, he dumps a girl and he's like, fuck it. And just walks on the street cursing people. Because he's not, look, the thing I really like about this movie though, and I think to the movie's credit and what it does well, the guy's an arsehole. But he didn't really seem lonely. He was trying to get rid of this girl for the longest time, and he turned her into his perfect partner. That's what happened, and that's funny. That is genuinely funny that he turned her. He acts like, you fell into my... There's the whole scene where he's like, we just met. You just meet, you turned her into your perfect partner, motherfucker. She turned into you. You know, and then when she didn't, you guys woke up. But at the end, he fell out of the sky, fell into another woman. I'm like, yeah, it's silly, and Woody Allen does that, but the fact is all happy, and at the end he turns to the camera and is like, yeah, you know, that's life. You gotta take what you can take, whatever works. I'm like, whatever, man. I was like, yeah, maybe it was just too softy feely. It didn't really feel consistent, but at that point I was just like, the film needed to end anyway, so I didn't really bother. I didn't think that was consistent. But overall, I'll wrap up and say, I don't think the movie deserved its hate. At worst, it's somewhat forgettable. At best, it's pretty funny, and the dialogue of Larry David is pretty hilarious because he has some lines, semi-racist lines, semi-offensive lines, as Simon likes to say, the truth, which is, I'm not gonna lie, some of it was just real talk, but just like Curb Your Enthusiasm, the reason why you can't go around saying what your thoughts are like, because that's Curb Your Enthusiasm is. Curb Your Enthusiasm is a show about a man being his 100% real self that you cannot do in real life. That's why Seinfeld was successful, because these guys are doing what they really shouldn't be doing in real life, and that's another movie of this, but you can't do it in real life. We got a movie of that here, and all the characters around them are not believable in what they would do. They're just idiots, and you can't do this in real life. That also makes it fun to watch. See your character go off on people in ways that you can't get away with in real life, you know. But it's fine. The movie's it's just fine. Doesn't deserve the hate, but for the majority of people that don't like it, I get it. I do get why it's hated. I can see why they don't like it. In comparison with, let's look at Woody Allen's filmography on the whole. Yeah, it's a C-grade movie, so, you know. But I will say this, he's done a lot worse, without a doubt.
Yeah, and we mentioned this in the last one, that he got so much credit for Vicky Cristina Barcelona, which again was just a bold movie. If you look at it from the perspective of a very conservative person, it was like very eye-opening, like, oh, you can think like this about relationships and life, and from that perspective quite similar. So Woody Allen's worldview and his open-mindedness kind of put on the big screen and with full force, and everybody praised him for it. So then going into this, there's a real conflict there where they want to praise him as this really established filmmaker who has his own legacy now, but then when he keeps going back to his annual tradition of making a movie every single year and doing whatever it takes, doing whatever works.
Yep.
That wasn't even funny.
He drops the line 3 times in the movie, so I'm going to allow you to do a pun.
Yeah. But bottom line is, when he goes back to this, I think people are just, they want him to be more consistent with quality, but I think after watching so many of Woody Allen's movies, a movie that more than a marathon.
Movie a year. A director who does a movie a year.
I think it helps him stay fresh. You know, it helps him try out different things, try different ideas, get different thoughts out, which recharges him. Like, okay, I did all the stuff I wanted to do about this subject matter, or I did all these film ideas I had. Now I need to tank up with fresh inspiration. So thinks about different topics,
sure,
things he hasn't done before, or things he now has a way of doing better because he gets a new idea. So I think the whole thing's part of his process. So I don't understand the hate. I understand, again, it's bad timing. We said this with Match Point, that people thought Match Point was a fluke. Now people are like, okay, no, this guy is great. This guy is a master director, so he shouldn't do this. So now the narrative is, you're so great. Why did you do anything that's not 100% terrific? Why didn't you do Vicky Cristina Barcelona Part 2, Amsterdam? I don't know.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought it up. And here's one of the benefits of us doing a retrospective. We can go back and look at Woody Allen on average. On average, every decade, you will get 2 or 3 really good Woody Allen movies.
Oh, yeah. Absolute, like, best of the decade. In every decade, he has a couple, not just one, but more than one film
Sure.
that's best of the decade.
Yeah.
Minus maybe the 80s.
So if we're not going to do it, well, just even going off the top of my head, even if the 90s, I could think of like Husbands and Wives, Deconstructing Harry, like Sweet and Low Down, like 3. This is the end. This is 2009. This is the end of the 2000s. So obviously, Match Point, Vicky Cristina Barcelona.
Yeah.
2. The
Two.
other ones I know people didn't like. And I know we're going to do 2010, but no one's going to like the next movie. I was even just want to say that. So,
But that's 2010. That's like the next decade.
and
already.
we're in with the current decade. We're going to
Yeah.
get to 2010. We already know Midnight in Paris. We already know Blue Jasmine. You know what I mean? So to be on average,
And Wonder Wheel with Justin Timberlake. That just sounds great.
let's just keep that soundbite for when we watch it, Simon. Because
Okay,
I'd love to see you defend this movie. I haven't seen it, but I think you're gonna be on the defensive here. You're biased to your boy Justin. Let's see if you can dance his way out of that one. Anyway, guys, we've put it on too long enough about this one. As I said before, guys, if you look on Rotten Tomatoes, this is a bit. It says it's 49% on the Rotten. It's a Rotten at 49%, but the reviews are pretty scathing. IMDb pretty much the same. And if you look at any top 10 Woody Allen movie list, or if you go into Wikipedia and just put scores chronologically, this is always in the bottom 5, almost in the bottom 3 consistently. I don't know why. I could think of worse movies, but near the end of our retrospective, we are going to do like a best and worst podcast where we're really going to hash it out, have our little thoughts on that. But anyway, that's this one down the bag. We need to move on because we are done with another decade. Can you goddamn believe it? We're coming to the final decade now. God damn.
This is the final rush, I guess, because this is the decade we're in now. So last couple of movies, really. A couple. Oh yeah, a few.
Yeah, more than a couple. But guys, again, we're celebrating the year anniversary of the podcast. So if you've enjoyed this, if you haven't even listened to, you didn't even know we've been doing this for so long, guys. Again, check out the Woody Allen Retro podcast link I put in the podcast description up above. And Simon's here with me recording on site. We've been doing this for so long. I've had fun doing this. And I'm glad we've got to modern Woody, because now a lot of you guys listening, they've actually watched these movies. I know in the 90s and the 80s, 70s, you guys didn't even know those movies. But now we're getting to a point where I know a lot of you listening know of these movies in the last decade. So please let us know what you think of these movies by sharing your thoughts of us in the comments down below. And as always, I've got to thank my buddy Simon Rad for joining me on this retrospective on the 1 year anniversary. Thanks, buddy.
That's fine. I wish people would be like smarter, but I guess.
Okay, well, I was hoping you'd be a little bit more spunky there, but that's a Simon Rad that no one loves. So guys, you know what? Why don't you do me a favor and tweet Simon and just tell him how much you appreciate him as Simeon_Rad.
So, as Larry David says in the movie, they are contemplating putting in automatic toilets in public restrooms because people cannot even be trusted to flush a goddamn toilet. So how are they going to figure out how to use Twitter? They can't even tell if they're tweeting a Russian bot.
Yeah, there was even a beautiful scene here where he pointed that, if we keep going this way, we can turn up with that guy as a president.
I'm so glad you brought that up. See, I think, I'm sorry, I need to mention this. Okay. I totally think that gadget he had in Midsummer sex comedy where he could see visions of the future or past or whatever, that shit is real. Because I'm telling you, some of these movies Woody Allen makes are just precursors to what's going to happen. Not just with the casting choices, but just with jokes. This movie ages beautifully because all the dumb shit Larry David talks about that people do, they still do today. And then when the mother comes in first, before her transformation, she's just scolding the daughter like, you should find a nice man. You should find a good guy. You're in New York. Find a rich, successful guy. Find somebody who's nice, who knows how to treat women. And they go to like this museum where they have statues of New York celebrities. And he's like, like this guy. You should be with somebody like this. And he's pointing at a goddamn fucking mannequin of Donald fucking Trump. And it's like, how did he know? Because he was already in celebrity 10 years before this, talking some crazy shit already. Yeah. And now, again, he just makes another cameo appearance in a Woody Allen movie, looking like an asshole, even as a statue. And she's talking like, yeah, this guy would make a good husband. I'm like, he can't even get his wife, who's the first lady now, even though she doesn't speak the language, which is ironic, to hold his hand. She just looks like a
mannequin?
Yeah, a mannequin. Like a mannequin possessed by some evil snake demon. That's what she looks like all the time. And he just looks like a goddamn senile 70-year-old man who really needs to take his medicine.
Yeah.
but great husband material apparently.
That's your president you're talking about. Have some goddamn respect.
Hey, if he can win your heart, he's just gonna grab your pussy.
That's a quote from President Trump before he was president-elect, whatever. Guys, let's get the hell out of here. As always, thanks for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. Do not forget, I've said it for the third time, WoodyAllenRetro.com. Go there, get all the other discussions. And we'll see you on the next recording in the final decade.